Welcome to Playback Podcast, where we discuss current events and affairs that take place within the entertainment industry. From pop culture to trends to music, we will play back some of the hottest and most controversial topics. So sit back and press play.
And we're back, man. Playback Podcast, episode 4. Myself, Ray Playhouse, alongside the lovely
Laura Valentine. Hey
How
guys.
are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Yeah, man, we're out here, man. Let's get straight into it. We've spoken a lot about music, but I think it's time we assess the film industry. Let's talk about the effects films such as Blue Story, The Intent, Top Boy, and all those kind of UK-based films, predominantly based on London. Do you think these kind of films are genuinely having a positive effect on gang culture, gang crime, all that kind of thing? What's your take on how do you feel about that?
Okay, I don't know if it's having a positive impact, but I wouldn't say it's having a negative impact. I feel like it's highlighting what goes on in our daily life in London that not a lot of people get to see, because we get to see American gang culture, we get to see the skinheads from back in the day, we get to see those kind of the different types of gangs, we get to see Italian, Mexican gang culture, but as soon as it comes to London gang culture, it's now a problem that they're now saying is impacting, it has an impact on people. I feel like blaming stuff like Blue Story for gang culture, I feel like I feel like it's, I don't know how to put it, but it's blaming it is not, I don't know how to put it, but it's not helping it, basically.
You know what? The fact that people bring up that whole thing about films, you know, causing or further crime is ridiculous. You know, that's to say, if there's a shooting and the person went to go and watch James Bond, did James Bond influence that person to go and shoot somebody because James Bond shot somebody in the film? No, of course not. But I think the thing about these films is, you know, even though it's great that, you know, people like Ratman and, you know, these producers that are taking the time to kind of like bring to life the what's really going on within London on the television, it's really for those that are not from our area, those that are not from our culture. And to speak plainly, it's for people that are not from ethnic minorities. You know, the whites and the upper class and the middle class and the parliament, is to actually educate them on what's really going on.
Yeah, because we already know what's going on.
Yeah, of course. It's our life. It's something that we see all the time.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not it's neither negative nor positive, but it is not solving anything. And I think, you know, I think Rapman and all their places, if that's their intent, then their heart is in the right place, their intention's in the right place, but that is still not something that is going to help solve the situation. And in a way, understanding where, you know, the people in the parliament and all these politicians may be coming from, it kind of, in a way, does, you know, idolize or, you know,
In terms of, obviously, like, just example, Blue Story, Rapman used it to kind of tell his story, obviously with exaggeration. I feel like it's the only positive impact I can get out of it is that people that are going through the same kind of thing can watch it and see that in terms of that lifestyle, there's only one way it's going to end. Do you know what I mean? So unless they can look at it and think, okay, this is not how I should be living my life anymore. This is our kind of, it's time to kind of get out, and promoting that to young people that this is not the lifestyle you want to live. If some people take that from it, because not everyone will, then that is a positive impact in a way. I don't know if you
know what
see
it is,
what I'm talking about.
I do hear that, and once again, I'm gonna keep saying it. Big up Rapman, and I love all these UK films, but my true opinion is I don't even think Blue Story was that deep. I don't think it touched enough nerves. And I also think that it didn't touch enough nerves because I don't think the general cinema screens are ready to even see how really deep it is.
Yeah,
I don't
think
it was that
I
don't think it was that serious. And I think those that are feeling that really felt it are not even ready for what's really going on.
Yeah.
Because if you're just feeling that, I feel like Rapman just delivered it in a very medium tone.
Yeah.
He didn't deliver it in a heavy tone. I thought he was really gonna go.
I thought in terms of like make it raw.
Yeah,
like,
really,
no,
really raw.
It wasn't.
And it wasn't
I
that
feel
raw.
like growing up. What area are you from?
I'm from Croydon, South Norwood.
So I grew up in Hackney, Hoxton, whatever. So I feel like I've seen some raw
100%.
shit go down. Like I've seen the maddest. When I was in school, you would come out of school and someone's getting stabbed right there on the floor. Like I saw some raw shit.
Seeing come out of school, people's head getting bust open on the curb, getting robbed, with my chains,
I've seen samurai
my chicken
swords
wings,
in
man are taking my
McDonald's.
chicken.
I've seen people getting sliced. I've seen the maddest. I've been rushed myself. So
because you got a gob.
No, well, I mean, whatever. But and I think even when I did get rushed, I suffered PTSD from that shit for quite a while. I mean, I had a lot of fights, but never been rushed. So that one kind of played with me. So I feel like there's a lot of raw aspects that goes on in terms of London gang culture that is not shown, especially because guns here is not the big thing because it's not allowed here. Obviously, people have guns, but it's not
like America
the
where it's like,
mainstream,
you could actually get your gun license.
So obviously, we use everything else in terms of knives.
This.
Yeah, don't feel like it showed how deep that it can get in the streets of London. So when people say that, it's promoting gang culture, I was thinking, you guys haven't even seen gang culture.
Yeah.
Like you haven't, London gang culture anyways, you haven't seen it.
But you can see why, those that are, maybe the older generation, those that are not from ethnic backgrounds, may say that it's promoting and gang culture.
But this is not the only violence we've seen in film.
Exactly, and it's not the first film. Do you know what I mean? Come on, Kidulthood, Adulthood, The Intent 1, 2. There's a numerous amount of films.
Yeah.
But this is what I was gonna say. Like, there's been so many films, ultimately promoting the same message. Is the message effective? Clearly, the message is not effective enough because, like I said, there's been so many films, and some have been very, very touching. Kidulthood, mad touching this, mad touching that.
Kidulthood, one of the best, films in
Top Boy's
the decade.
got touching moments and rare. But it's like in one ear, out the other, and honestly, I don't know what's gonna solve this situation. And I think gang culture isn't something of our generation. Sadly, it's not. It's been going on.
What do you mean by that?
It's in the mafia. It's back in the olden day. It's white people. It's Asian
there's
people.
films on these things that no one has complained about. Though.
It's us. We're an easy target to focus on and make a huge big deal. I mean, there's places in Bradford where they're doing crazy. They're slashing people's head off and stabbing people. They're ketamine, all these kind of drugs and stuff. And there isn't that kind of focus on them because they're not in the capital. We're in the capital of London, so all eyes in the UK is on London. Yeah. Anything that London does, everybody wants to know because we're the UK. Do you know what I mean? We're one of the most popular countries in the whole world. Do you know? Everybody eyes on what's going on in London. But I feel like we're always targeted, and that also weaponizes the youth. Do you know what I mean? Because you're bringing attention onto them, and they've got to kind of show that that's what they're on.
Yeah.
Man, them then have got to prove something, and if you've got something to prove, then that's when you end up going out there to do stupid stuff. Constantly putting these guys in the limelight. We're constantly putting their crime. We're constantly making films about their crime, and that is why I am in love with Noughts and Crosses. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't started watching it yet.
I just finished it last night. Fantastic. I am gonna rate it 5 out of 10.
Okay. Why 5 out of 10?
Because it's middle. It's still in the middle. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, I still think it's because it's television, it's BBC. I still think they can only go as deep as probably they're allowed to go. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I read the book. The book is extremely emotional. Do you know what I mean? And it doesn't pull enough emotion out from me. And I'm challenging the casting. I am challenging the casting. I heard that they filmed a lot of it in South Africa. Yeah. And I think this kind of thing should have been filmed in London. I heard that
they wanted Mary Blackman to make they wanted to make one of the characters Asian, and she refused.
I mean, that's ludicrous because it's crazy.
But she said that they wasn't trying to let her do it unless she made one of them. That making one of the characters Asian will bring in more views, basically.
Things like that. This is what makes me feel like, you know.
So this is
people like
everything
Ratman
is
and that.
systematic racism.
There's thank you. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely existing, and this country definitely has an issue with underlying racism. People that say that there's no racism in the UK, you are crazy. Of course there is. There's a lot of restriction in terms of how creative you can be, especially when it comes to these kind of films. They don't want us to tell the real story.
They really don't. I feel like it's
Look
just
how
like
long-
Blue Story is like, there was so much more to it. They ignored the fact of poverty being shown in our community. They ignored the fact of racism being shown in our community. They ignored all these factors and focused on the gang culture.
I don't think they ignored it. I think that's what
they
could
made.
be shown.
They made gang culture basically everything. They just put Blue Story, gang culture, done. That's it.
I mean, I think the basis of Blue Story is Ratman's telling a story of what went on in a certain type of borough.
Yeah.
You see that whole thing. I was quite young when that was going on, but I remember the situation quite vividly when this whole kind of beef was going on. Do you know what I mean? So if you're from London and these kind of areas, what you're watching on the screen is not going to be of any shock to you. It's our history. You know what I'm saying? Our children and their children's probably going to know about us as the history, as the same way we look at people like the Craig twins, you know, London's notorious gangsters. Maybe they are some of our most notorious gangsters.
Do you think gang culture has improved from when we was growing up compared to now?
What do you mean by improved?
Like, do you think it's improved as in terms like it's the rates have gone down?
Nah.
You don't think so?
I
don't know, because I
haven't looked at the stats. I need to look at the stats
I don't know about
before
the
I make a
stats,
comment
but
like
just
that.
But your observation. I'm talking about your
I
observation.
think it's become more outrageous.
Do you think so?
As in, you got 14-year-olds, 13-year-olds carrying a knife, committing a killing.
I think that's always been going on.
Maybe, but maybe not as big a scale as it is now. I think back then, back in the day and going further back, there was these things going on. But maybe I was 13 then. And I'm telling you, maybe that bad kid in my year, maybe he had a pocket knife. You know, pocket knife, not this shepherd. Have you seen the shepherds? The man them have got the shepherd with the
samurai
up and down with the ching changers.
I've seen a samurai.
Have you seen some of the ching changers? The bumpy things that are going, and they're like 14, 15. You feel me?
My observation, I feel like back in the day was way more ruthless. I feel like back in the day was way more ruthless. Like back in the day, there's certain places you couldn't even walk in without getting moved to or without it being a situation.
But them times there was a lot more beef.
Okay,
getting banged in your face, getting rushed, and
so
poles and stuff.
Less killings, whereas now it's. I
think less killings, but I don't want to say less killings because there was killings. I don't know the statistics, but like back then, I knew the olders were moving mad. I wasn't afraid of my peers. I was afraid of getting bucked by the olders. Okay. Do you feel me? And then maybe some of my peers being their youngers doing the olders, you know what I'm saying, kind of thing. Whereas now, me, even as a grown man, I will just avoid all confrontation. Not because I couldn't slap up any young G, but because maybe that young G and his boys, when I slap at one, someone's going to come and push a knife in my kidney.
It doesn't matter how old you are now.
You feel me?
Everyone's moving.
Everybody's feeling like the man. You're 12, you're absolutely gassed. Maybe you haven't got the best kind of family life and you're out in the ends. And the oldest, thing about oldest love the young G's. They show you
back in the day, youngers used to respect their old G's. Now there's no respect
because
anywhere.
the young G's are gathering together and doing the dirt. And this is where it also comes from with the films. They're watching the films, seeing Wagwan, and you can't say no. They are watching the films and they are getting inspired by these things. The ones
you think they're getting inspired by the films? I don't feel like they're getting inspired by the films. I feel like this is already going on. I just feel like they're relating. I don't think they're inspired. I feel like they're relating. Yeah, that's what we're on. That's what we do. I don't think it's now we're gonna go do that. I feel like it's a relation thing.
Relating is like when you say, you know, you're feeling depressed, you're going to university, and the pressure of your coursework is getting down on you. And I look at you and I say, you know what, I can relate to that. And I feel that. Yeah, that's not what's happened. They're not seeing that, that's going on, I feel that. They're seeing that and saying that's going on and man's on that and they're going out and doing worse than that to create new stories. They are.
I don't know. I don't think so.
They
I don't know if I agree with that.
That's what's going on. I'm confirming. I'm telling you that.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Well, that's, you know, That's why
feel like
I
the only
see.
people that I think would be doing that is like wannabe gangsters, like people that wanna be on like those kind of people.
Isn't
Like,
isn't that what it's all about? The wannabe gangsters. This whole
okay,
this
but what
whole
about
new
the
gen
ones that are
of
already? What
gangsters.
about the ones that are already on road, doing dirt or doing? I don't know.
Look, it starts like this. If you're a young G and you see the elders doing it, then you're what? Wannabe gangster. You wanna be like the elders. A lot of the gangsters that are maybe they've grown up and they've been doing it a long time ago, they saw what the elders were doing and wanted to do it too.
So, but now you're saying
an
that they're
inspiring
watching
culture.
the films and the films is
I'm saying I'm not
inspiring
saying that that's the only thing. I'm not saying that's what's triggering them.
Okay.
But it's included in psychologically and and definitely emotion, everything they do.
Yeah.
For some of these young kids, seeing that these dirt and saying, yeah, if someone violates me, yeah, of course man would do that. You know what I mean? And it is giving people some ideas. Some of the youngest didn't know about certain things that was going on. You know what I'm saying? In the film, it shows, my man's in the van and he's getting burnt alive in a van. That's mad.
Yeah.
But don't ever think that some young G's not seen that and probably think, raw, if a man tried to take me for a dickhead, do you think it's a bad thing that these films are actually showing, gang crime and they're showing the violence and they're showing, all the negative things that come with, growing up in the streets of London? Or is it a good thing that they're bringing awareness? Is it awareness or is it having a total negative effect and they shouldn't be kind of discussing and showing, the violence of the streets of London on a big platform such as the cinema?
I definitely do not think it's a bad thing. And I do feel like it's awareness, because just even me watching it, I was like, I haven't been able to watch that many things that it's like, wow, okay, this is kind of what I kind of grew up going through basically. And I haven't really seen, it's not put out there like London kind of gang culture and stuff like that. It's not put out there for the world to see what really goes on. And in stuff like Blue Story as well, it kind of showed stuff that led up to that people getting into a gang, what led to him getting into a gang, and what it just kind of it led up to why people's lives ended up the way it was. For it showed the situations that occurred, because there's always a situation that occurs before people end up in situations like that. So I feel like it highlighted it. I do feel like it does bring awareness in terms of people that have no clue. Say government, they have no clue what really goes on in the hood, being able to see it. But it's just the fact that I feel like they're not going to look at any type of positive in the films, and they're just going to look at it and be like, yeah, gang culture, and there's no positive out of it. That's the thing.
I think a lot of that also comes from their own fear, their own fear, their own judgment of what's actually going on. That feeling of not wanting to believe such things are happening. Do you know what I mean? And also, it also comes from a place of guilt. What are the people on top really doing about tackling the core issues? Are they truly invested in helping the young people? Are they just helping us because they're supposed to, that the news are on them, or are they helping us because they're truly genuinely concerned? If they had an option to ignore what was going on, would they ignore it? Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the reason why they might say, you shouldn't be showing this kind of violence. But then again, that violence, this London violence, what's the difference between that violence and the violence of a action movie made in London?
That's how I feel. And
what's the difference?
I feel like, in terms of, is it bad that like someone like Rapman is sharing his story? No, it's not bad. Why can't he show his story, put into film, and bring awareness?
It's awareness of the real life.
If I decided to make a film right now and show all the stuff that I saw growing up, it would be raw. It would be raw. So if I decided to make a film, would that I now be promoting violence and gang culture? No, it's just me kind of telling my story and showing what happened. I don't feel like it's to inspire people. I feel like that's Rapman's last thing he would even want
100%.
to do, promote violence, especially in terms of how he's grown up into where he is now and what he's doing. I feel like him even creating this film Blue Story and getting it into cinemas is showing young black people that you can kind of do whatever you want to do. It's a huge achievement, and I feel like we should be proud of him. And
we are.
Yeah, we should be proud of him and support, and not but obviously I feel like from that, I feel like we should now focus on things that we could put into the communities in terms of helping young people get out of the situation that they're in.
Definitely. It's a lot to do with awareness and a lot to do with, you know, people sharing their story. And sadly, a lot of people's story involves violence and a lot of sad things, you know. And the rest of the country has to get to terms with this is what young people are going through. And, you know, we're tired of creating fantasies to put on film screens.
Yeah.
It's time we started putting on the reality on film screens.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But they can't even handle
this is our reality.
Yeah.
And you know what it is? Rapman is creating a gap away for us, and we need to follow through. We need to double up. We need to keep putting it on the screens. We need to keep applying that pressure to make the real awareness. Like we said, Blue Story is just it's just scratching the surface. It wasn't even that deep.
Do you feel like there's a
I think
silver
Top Boy is
lining?
even a little bit more deeper than Blue Story.
Deeper than Blue Story.
You know what I mean?
Compared to Top Boy, Blue Story is like PG.
It shows a lot of real life clips. I think, like I said, all of that is just to do with awareness. You know what I'm saying? It was fantastic that he put those clips in there because it's to show that, yes, this is a film, but within this film, this film is based on
life.
this stuff.
Yeah.
You're seeing this. I'm sure the people saw this on BBC, and you know you're now seeing it again on your cinema screen. You can't forget it. Don't forget that this is the real things that went on. And once again, Rapman used those visuals, those stats, those past clips to strengthen his point, to strengthen the validity of the film. This is what's going on. This is what we need to do to solve it. I take that back. I don't think the film actually illustrates what we need to do to solve the problem. Which is the reason why maybe there's so much focus on the violence and the gang culture, because it doesn't address that. But does that mean Rapman, as a director, as a creative, has left that intentionally for a sequel?
I definitely feel like he has more to give.
People are putting a lot of pressure.
He has more to give, because I even had a conversation with someone that we want a film that highlights mental health within the black community, especially within black men that suffer from mental health. It's not something that we speak about in our community, but it's definitely something that we see a lot. So we definitely like to see that on our screens. I feel like he definitely has a lot more to show and give us. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm definitely thinking there's going to be a sequel to that.
Yeah.
And I think he's probably left that part out to kind of address it further on, because at the end of the movie, you see the young G's hearing that their older's been killed, and, you know, him kind of rising up. And that's also another thing. He left that at the end as an intentional thing to show people this is the chronological effect, and this is how we get the next generation of gangs and gang members. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, you got the young people, like I mentioned to you before, the young G's really looking up to the oldest, see them as big brother figures, father figures, and when the opposing side, you know, kill off one of their guys, it rises them up.
I just need to watch
that revolution, you know. Yeah,
gangs
I'm
is not a new thing.
It's definitely not a new thing.
There's an evolution of gangs. Like, gangs is going on for
worldwide.
centuries. Different types of gangs, but worldwide. I just feel like we need to stop, the people from the outside need to stop looking at it as just, okay, this is a new thing. 1, 2, maybe work on ways that you can try and resolve this situation. And also, wait, what are you smiling at?
Man yawn, but come on, catch them thing there. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, look at a way to solve the situations. And it's not only black people that are in gangs. It's not only black people that have gangs. We're not the only people. Like, I don't know why when people think of gangs, it's like, well, black people. Like, I don't understand.
I genuinely think it's just a lot to do with the age. Because look, and I think all the other countries, they're not showing the ages that are doing it. Do you know what I'm saying? They're not highlighting, you know what I'm saying? Let's take him to South America, where you've got things going on in, you know, like Brazil and whatever and whatnot. It's the young, it's the kids that orchestrate the criminal network, and they use the kids for lookout and stuff. But the media, the news, and the worldwide news, they're not highlighting those. They're not creating a lot of films that are showing this. And when they do, it really does come across as fictional. We've seen a lot of films like City of God. Have you watched it?
No.
Okay, it's a really amazing movie. It starts when they were young, and you see them growing up, and in their gang crime and culture. But is that real? You know what I'm saying? If you're not from that part of town or not from that country, you have to question: is it real or is it fiction? Whereas London, it's reinforced with the media. The media constantly, any little thing we do, any little thing, whoever it is, if it's Stormzy, if it's Harry from Peckham or Joseph from Hackney. You know what I'm saying? It's on the news. It's reinforced. It's everywhere. Once it's on BBC, it's on CNN, it's on Al Jazeera.
The riots was a big thing, but they did try to ignore why the riots started in the first place.
The riots, once again, another thing that focus a lot on young black young people that took part. But what about the old white people that were taking part? What about the Asian people that were taking part?
Random people.
You know what I'm saying? They were taking part. Just general
it was not mentioned.
adults taking part.
Yeah.
There's a lot of focus, and this country loves to focus and showcase that to the world, that this is our problem. We have a huge problem with young people in gang and crime. And all the other world, they kind of shield that away from the rest of the world. Yeah. Even though they've got it going on, like you said, it's evolution. It's been going around the world. They do not showcase that. They don't say, hi, we're in Argentina and we have a huge problem with 12-year-olds committing robbery and rape. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They don't showcase these things that are going on, that are definitely happening in the poorer areas in their films. And when they do show it in their films, it tends to come across very fictional. That's the issue. And I think that's why Rapman also added in those visuals and those stats of real life clips to remind people, even though it's called Blue Story, even though this is a story, it's not a story, it's real life.
Yeah.
And that's really important. And that's why I really do respect the piece of work that he's produced. And I'm really looking forward, hopefully, to a sequel to Blue Story.
No, definitely. And stuff more to it, more deep into it in terms of how it impacts these young people's minds and how it affects them in their lives and what happens after all this stuff happens, because a lot of stuff happens where a lot of people, they just end up in jail, or what happens to their life after that, or when they come out of jail. It doesn't show when if people go to jail and they come out and then they're basically done out here. I don't know other way to use.
And we're gonna touch briefly. That's what Top Boy focused a lot on. And big up Top Boy and the producer of Top Boy and Drake, for getting behind it and getting it back on our screens. You have to respect shows like that. That touches a lot more and things like you said.
Yeah.
The effects of going to jail coming out. This new season that we just had. You've seen my man just come out of jail, and you've seen him trying to what's his name? Sully.
Yeah.
Sully, am I right? Yeah. Sully coming out of jail, and that kind of, he's got a daughter, and all these kind of things. He's kind of stuck in the middle.
Yes, it's kind of, and it shows how when you come out of jail, it's hard to kind of do anything else. There's not an opportunity to do other things in terms of work.
Apart from
and
getting
stuff.
back into what
yeah,
was,
exactly. Apart from
really
which just leads to reoffending rates and stuff like that. So
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So Top Boy has been another amazing kind of UK kind of show that's been on our screens, and it's been on Netflix, and it's fantastic. Everyone's had access to that, to watch that, and get a deeper understanding of what it's like to be a young person within London, within the gang culture, and the effects it has on not just yourself, but your community, your family, your friends, how people get drawn into it. You've seen Sully's friend, is it Driz? I think his name is Driz.
That betrayed them.
Yeah, but not only that, you've seen that he had a stroke.
Yeah.
And how he forced himself to kind of hide his stroke away. And, it's
he
great to
he
see
couldn't
that.
really talk about it, which,
It's great to see that in a film, because like you said, a lot of people are going through things like that, and they find it very hard. Even there's a lot of gangsters that maybe could be disabled, might be deaf. You won't see them trying to wear their hearing aid or take their medication or this and that, because they want to be the brave guy. But then in Top Boy, it shows the effect of that. He had a seizure, and you see my man asking his boy, are you taking your medication? And, it's great to see that on the screens, that, even though they're gangsters, they still got heart. They still care a lot.
Said,
it's a brotherhood
I think
in a way.
one time he even said you should just probably stay out of this one, stay at home.
100%.
And he was like, no. So, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, people think that this gang culture crime is just hardcore. But genuinely, I do think a lot of gangs see themselves as families, and it's great that it's on the screen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And maybe, I don't want to say, I don't know if it's positive or whatever, but it's showing that, even though
I mean, there's
their
a small type
humanity,
of positive
I
impact
mean,
in terms of these.
it's more of an understanding for those that are not aware. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
these things are happening, and you can see how much the gang means to the people that are involved. Do you know what I'm saying? They'll put their life at risk. They'll hide their illnesses, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, for the gang, for the brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? For the G's, them. You know what I'm saying? So it's a fantastic thing that Top have been able to represent on the screens, and everyone's been able to have access to it and watch it. And once again, I think they also deserve a
round of applause.
100%.
Yeah.
So Top Boy,
Coming back out.
10 stars.
Yes.
Michael Ward.
We'll
10 stars.
we'll probably talk about it when the next season comes out.
Oh yes,
and give
we're looking forward to that.
Give a good review.
You've been watching Playback Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell.